How to know you've found your wife. Now, I have not been married, but I've definitely found quite a few girls that I would argue are wife material. I've just had life things get in the way, and I definitely identify at least there's been many girls, and recently as well, I've found a girl that I would say would be wife material. And I'd like to share with you my experience of dating thousands of girls over the years and give you guys my tips on what I think would be the ideal girl that you should get married to and how to identify her, if that makes any sense. But before we kick it off, I'm Dave, and this channel is dedicated to giving you no BS, novel dating advice for the modern man. Check out my book, The Disabled Casanova, if you would like. It is a beautiful sunny day. The quality of the camera isn't that great, and I'm in Sydney CBD at the Anzac Memorial. She gives you peace. That's probably the top of the list. She gives you peace. She's not fighting you. There's no competition. That gives you peace because you understand that you guys are a team. Now, she wants to work with you. She wants to help you. She understands that most men, like yourself, want to help her. She ultimately brings peace and stability and rationality to your life. If she's emotional, if she's chucking tantrums for no reason, she's arguing with friends and family and people for no reason and yourself and causing you lots of stress for no reason, she's not wife material. You cannot fix her. You cannot argue your way through it. You need a girl that gives you peace. And to identify a girl that gives you peace, that takes time. So there's two aspects to that. You can't date a girl for 6 months or 1 month, maybe even a year, and she's given you peace, and then you marry her up and then she gives you drama. It can take time. And I would argue that that time frame is 2 years. So from my experience, the most recent girl she's been a regular of mine for quite a few years, and I would say that she ticks all of those boxes. Gives me peace, isn't in a competition with me. We are a team, and we've known each other long enough for me to see all of the bad sides. The second part is, are you husband material? So it's really difficult for a lot of men out there to find a good wife when you're a bad husband. Are you husband material? Do you have some emotional instability? Are you carrying baggage? Do you have something wrong with yourself that you're going to be bringing to the table? If so, then you are not husband material. And if you are not husband material, there's very little or very few women on planet Earth that are going to make a good wife for you, because you're just not husband material. All you're doing is pretty much marrying your mum. That's going to cause a lot of troubles as it is. So you need to have a close look at yourself. Are you stable mentally? Are you rational? Are you supportive? Do you have any mental illnesses that might hold you back? Are you financially stable? Do you have anything that would be deemed to be something that a good husband would not do? Drug addiction, etc. If so, then you can go out there and try to find yourself a wife. But if you are not husband material, there's very few women on planet Earth that would actually make a good wife for you. The second aspect of that is, in the West, there's only possibly, 50% of the women that are available and within your age range that technically make up could be classified as wife material. I know a lot of people might say that it's 30% because there's a lot of bad marriages out there. You could say it's 50%, but the thing is, just because the divorce rate is 50% and 70% of marriages are unhappy marriages, a lot of those men are bad husbands. A lot of those men are bad men. So you got to calculate that out. I would say quite a lot of women would make good wives, but just to be safe, to find the perfect one, maybe 30%. Maybe 30%. I'm just throwing some random statistics out there that haven't been checked. Let's just say 30%. My personal experience is that you have to meet a lot of women, date a lot of women, and what happens is you go out there and you approach a lot of women. The vast majority of them aren't going to date you. Out of that percentage that reject you, there's going to be a percentage that will come out and date you. Then after dating you, a percentage are not going to come back. The percentage that come back, you might sleep with her a few times, or a one-night stand, which is very common these days in the West, where women are actually more likely to look for a one-night stand than men. There's a lot of men out there, and that's not the top 10% of elite men that can sleep with whoever they want and they discard women all the time. I'm talking about a large percentage of women that will have a one-night stand with you and they won't come back. That's because in the West, there's a multitude of reasons why. I don't want to get into that, but there are a lot of women that would sleep with you once and then they won't come back. You might argue that that is because you're not good in bed. I would not argue that. That would just be feeding into the political enemy that hates men. And I don't think it's because you're good or bad in bed. I think it's because a lot of women just want to have their freedom and they want to be able to have one night stands, and they're more likely to want one more stands than men these days. And so that means that you're going to have trouble locking them in as a girlfriend in the first place. Out of those girls that you will start sleeping with, maybe out of a percentage of them, most of them, or a percentage will leave, but a small percentage will actually want to see you again, and then they might want to date you. I tend to believe it's the third time you've slept with her, it increases the probability to a percentage that you can tend to feel safe that she's going to stick around. And then you start dating her, and then it's just whether she sticks around or whether you guys have chemistry, whether it works out or not. And then I would argue, as I said to you guys previously, she needs to tick all the boxes of, is she creating drama? Like, does she give you peace and things like that? Does she tick all of the boxes, and do you tick all the boxes as a good husband, possible husband? And is she irrational? Is she fighting with you, battling with you, or are you guys working as a team? And then that cuts a percentage of the girls that you're dating, and she's coming back and you guys are in a relationship, down to a smaller percentage of girls that you would deem to be wife material. And then what you need is, I would argue, over a year. I would say 2 years is a safe bet, especially because of the society we live in and the amount of emotional baggage and damaged women with all the options that they have in society. You need 2 years to fully get to know her. That's what I would argue, over a year at least. Now, when you work your way through that process, that's going to require you to not only approach or find on dating apps or however you're meeting the girls in nightclubs or whatever, meet a lot of women. You need a lot of women coming in order to get to the small amount at the very end that you're actually dating and you might find as wife material. That's if you want to succeed in the marriage game. You want to find yourself a good wife material type of a woman. If you don't, just marry the first girl you meet in the nightclub at 2 a.m. Good luck. Or meet a few girls on Tinder and just pick the hottest one, and fingers crossed everything's going to be okay. My argument here is that you need a large amount of volume of girls coming in if you want to do it properly and find a good wife that will stick with you for thick and thin and through to the rest of your life. It's going to take time. And it's going to take you to meet a lot of girls if you want to get the best possible wife and be in that 30% of successful marriages that last. And I don't know what percentage of that 30% that last that are extremely happy. Probably a smaller percentage as it is. If you want to be in that small percentage, you have to put in the work. This is one of the biggest decisions that you're going to make in your life. Why not make sure that you get it right? And that means you're going to have to meet a lot of girls and date a lot of girls, and then get them to the stage where you're sleeping with them and they leave because they just want a one-night stand, because that's women today. And then you eventually got to get down to the small amount that you're actually dating and taking seriously. That's going to take a lot of work. And that's why when I teach you guys cold approach, I take you guys out here and teach you to meet lots of women. And that's why. It's not because we're looking for one-night stands. That's what women are doing these days. A lot of men are looking for a serious relationship and a wife. And that's what I'm trying to help them to do. Trying to avoid the apps of damaged women online. The drunken, emotionally damaged, not all, but some whores in the nightclubs. So then we get to, if you're looking for a wife, this is going to take a lot of work. You would have to do it properly if you want to be successful. It's one of the most important decisions of your life. And unfortunately, this is possibly the best way to do it. And it's going to take a lot of work. So, I could go into a lot more depth on this, but this video is already long enough as it is. But you kind of get the basics of what I'm saying here. We've covered quite a bit of ground here. The other aspect is you might have, I will throw one more thing in. Here's the bonus one. Guys often say that you need to marry the ugly girl. I would argue that that is not 100% true. There are a lot of beautiful girls out there that don't have high body counts and aren't whores. Not all the hot ones cave into all of the men's attention. There's a lot of good ones out there. And quite often, if they have a whole lifetime up until 18 through to 25 of fending off suitors, and she chooses you, and she's hot because of all of the suitors chasing her all the time, you are in a position where you've found yourself a girl that you can trust. Other than, there are a lot of women down there that are the average looking woman, and this is the general consensus. This is what most men think, that you need to marry an average girl to have a good life. I would say that that is not true. Not 100%, there's obviously exceptions to every rule, but this is the general rule that most guys think that they should marry the average looking girl. I would argue that the average looking girl would have, if she slept around a little bit, she might have slept with a bunch of guys that are way more better looking than her, and she'll be carrying that damage and that baggage with her. She'll be pining after the guys that she lost. So I would argue that the average girl, you're more likely to have mental baggage and damage. So then we come back to the original thing. You need volume, you need to meet a lot of girls and need to date a lot before you can at least find a half decent one. That's going to take time and effort. And I would argue that the good-looking girl that has a lot of experience in fending off so many men that are always trying to pick her up and date her, and she's used to that and she chooses you, is more likely, as long as she passes the other tests, that you guys work as a team, she doesn't cause you drama and have all these emotional issues, she gives you peace, you trust her, and you're actually husband material yourself. And there's a whole load more other things that I would look in a wife, and you've got the 2 years to really get to know her. That would be a far better option. The better looking girl is more solid, I would say, not just because your loins want the hot girl. It's because she's more loyal because she's just used to fending off men all the time. So anyway, I can go into a lot more depth in this one, but I think I'll leave it at that because this video is too long as it is. I'll see you guys in the next one.